and a 21-year-old girl and a 17-year-old boy. She didn't.
Now, is this maternal aunt, uncle, or
through my father?
Paternal,
Actually,
paternal.
yeah. And what happened was she was fed up with the fighting. She went to Central Park, met some guy, married him. 3 weeks later, to get out of the house, did not know that he was shell-shocked from the Korean War. And he's been in and out of mental hospitals. During their wedding,
he started to abuse her,
yeah.
And so it got so bad that she moved back with her parents, and they eventually got him into a psychiatric ward, I believe, in New Jersey.
But before that happened, at the wedding, I shook hands, and in fact, this was at the church on 82nd Street.
Yeah.
I shook hands with the guy, and something told me, I said to myself, have you ever been in jail before? What a stupid thing for some 9-year-old to think, you know, based on what? And I never said anything to him.
And how old was he? How old was
he? Was probably
in his 20s.
Yeah. And when you shook hands with him, what happened?
And this is 20 minutes after they got married, on 72nd Street at St.
John.
82nd.
Oh, 82nd.
Yeah.
St. Stephen of Hungary.
That's it.
St. Stephen of Hungary.
So,
yeah.
22nd
of St. John the Martyr.
Yeah. 20 minutes after they got married in the vestibule, I'm shaking hands with him, and I'm looking him in the eye, and he's looking at me, and it was a kind of a piercing glow. And something told me he's going to murder her. And it happened 7 months later.
He killed her?
Yes.
He did.
What happened was
But we didn't tell each other. We didn't tell our parents. And who's going to believe? We didn't believe ourselves.
Wow.
And so in February, this was July, in February he had escaped from the mental hospital. My cousin and her mother, and the cousin was pregnant, they were watching I Love Lucy on a 5th floor apartment. This guy drops down from the roof to the 5th floor ledge in the kitchen, opens up the window, gets some knives, and went in there and did a job. Killed her unborn child, stabbed the mother, wound up on national news with Walter Cronkite. In fact,
what year was this?
1953, during George Washington's birthday.
Yeah. Walter Winchell was there because he was a few blocks away at some social, and he picked up the police radio or whatever and found it out.
And this happened at 65 East End Avenue. That's before the old brownstones were renovated.
That's not the new high-rise that was there. So they arrested.
And this was what relation to you?
My father's cousin's daughter. So
I guess more kind of cousin.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, you remember her name?
Yeah, Doris.
Yeah.
Doris.
Her last name was Bruns, B-R-U-N-S, before she got married.
B-R-U-N-S.
That's before she got married, yes.
Yeah. You know, this is interesting because we have two gentlemen of very high credibility, and they're relating to you a story, and this happens quite often. And the psychics that we've spoken to on Bill's show and on my show have said that they've known their ability from a very early age, and their greatest problem was trying to keep it to themselves, almost like a power, because if you told someone, they would just
they wouldn't believe
ridiculous.
They'd flip you off.
It's just foolishness and silly, and you know, it makes no sense. But I've heard this, and this coincides, gels with what I've heard before, that people. So since that time, have you ever had these experiences?
Yes, but we haven't had a lot of them. We had another one.
We like to think of it more as a predictive rather than psychic. But
we had another one when we were 18 years old. We moved to Minnesota after completing high school.
As freshmen, we started.
As freshmen, we were the second week of freshmen. We didn't have a credit to our name. We were walking along the Mississippi River in Minneapolis. And all of a sudden, out of the blue, I blurted out to John that one day we will have our doctorate degrees. We didn't have a credit to our name.
I laughed at that. I
18
said, where did
years
you get
later,
this
we had
idea?
that.
You know, I was lucky to graduate from high school. I was always a worrier and struggling.
And John didn't believe it. I didn't believe it either. But it came out of my mouth.
And this would be a really long-range goal for someone that age to even.
You didn't even start.
You're worried about being accepted by your peers in the first freshman class, rather than to think about. That you're going to get have a doctoral degree. So that's a very interesting aspect, and we can do several programs about that. One of the things I remember in Yirkviulle, especially, I alluded earlier to Vito Marcantonio, and Vito Marcantonio and possibly Mayor LaGuardia. They were the last of what I would call ward politicians. Both of them died with very little money. Both of them lived in the same apartment that they lived in prior to embarking on their political career, and both of them ended in the same apartment. Vito Marcantonio was a United States congressman. You could speak to him any time. There was no buffer. If you were looking for Vito, says, yeah, he's getting a shine up on the corner. He'll come back this way because he's going to go in the barbershop. If you wanted Vito, he was accessible. If you wanted to talk to him and it was 11 o'clock at night, you just went over and went upstairs and knocked on the door. And it was very simple. It was, and I don't think, I hate to say this, I don't think we'll ever see that kind of politician again. There was no form letter, there was no answering machine, there was no one saying, well, he's in a meeting right now.
Well, you got to go through 3 structures to get to
he was out on the street every day. And when I was 10 and 11 years old, and I told Bill this story, my friend Joe, and I won't say his last name, we were asked to give out some flyers by someone that, an older boy that worked for Mr. Marcantonio. The older boy was like 16, he was really big. So we went out and we started putting flyers in the mail in the hallways, and after a while we got tired of it. So we threw them away. I'm not proud of it, I'm just telling you what it is. Well, it was very disturbing because he found out about it. And one of the things that he said to me, and I'm just so, I'm embarrassed about it, but I want to kind of purge myself. He said, if you're going to steal something, kids, steal something big. You know, don't, and he was giving us a lot of money. He was paying us $1 an hour, which was absolutely the most you were going to get. You might, if he said, I'm going to give you a quarter to distribute all of these, we wouldn't have said, we said thank you. He was paying us $1 an hour.
He was wooing you in.
Right, $1 an hour, and we did the wrong thing. But he was a very special guy, and Mayor LaGuardia also ended up without any money. And some people have said, they've accused him of inventing the Puerto Rican. And what we mean by that is that he defended them because they had no voice in Congress at the time. So he spoke out on their behalf. So as a result, he was accused of being a communist. He was accused of being a socialist. He was accused of being a neo-Nazi. He was accused of so many, many things, which I'm convinced now were always wrong. Always wrong. He was for the working person. He was for benefits for employees. He was for fair play for union employees and things like that. And these things had become anathema. At that time, you were talking about a big push in Congress for the Taft-Hartley Act, and he was adamant against that, you know. And so I don't think we'll ever see the like of him again. He was a Yorkville special. He came to Yorkville in a strange way. He was winning up north of 96th Street, and Yorkville was not part of his domain. And they rezoned the congressional district, and they included Yorkville, which was primarily almost no Puerto Ricans and no blacks, and that was his support group. And so now he was surely going to lose the election, and lo and behold, he won the election, including with Yorkville.
That's amazing.
After, it didn't take long for people in Yorkville to realize, well, this man is right over the Woolworth. I can go upstairs and see him.
He's working for me.
He says, Mr. Marcantonio, he says, he's right there. And he wasn't sitting in an office. He was sitting out in a room with about 10 people. And he'd come over and say, what can I do for you? And there'd be like 6 or 8 people that he had other people calling up for them and calling some judge downtown, some kid got in trouble. He was a real, I don't think we'll ever see, I mean, I'm sorry I'm turning this show into a Marcantonio show, but he was a special man. And I know there's a lot of, if you go on the internet, there's a great deal of criticism, mostly from the right, and probably a lot of lauding from the left. I believe he was somewhere in the middle. I think he was a decent, honest man who really worked for the people that voted him into the office.
We need more people like that.
I don't know where we'll find them. Where would we find them? Because people inclined to be like that can't mix in the roughhouse that is the politics now, not just in Washington, but everywhere. There's really almost vindictiveness is more important than meeting us. Our government is designed for compromise. If we look at our government and its three different branches, it was designed purposely that you're not going to get everything you want.
Absolutely,
They got rules that they have to follow.
And we're not able to achieve that for whatever reason. I don't know all of the reasons, and I'm certainly not a politician. But I am a radio host, and you're listening and watching the ACLOWE show on the